I need everybody back. This time, you're bringing your magazine, your soft book, your stickies that you made, and your perspective journal. That's a lot to bring. Oh, and your pencil, but you can do it.
Welcome to another episode of UEN's PDTV. So far this season, we have seen examples of teachers developing classroom culture and providing personalized learning experiences in secondary schools. But what do those practices look like in an elementary classroom? Today we have traveled to Provost Elementary in Provo to meet 5th grade teacher Mary Wade and her students. Mary has spent years developing best practices in education and has developed a flexible learning model in her classroom in which she utilizes classroom culture and personalized learning. Let's start with the basics. We hear a lot of different phrases that mean similar things, but in Provo District you use the phrase flexible learning. What does that mean?
For me, flexible learning is a method of helping students to navigate their learning through autonomy, purpose, and mastery. It's important because it helps students to internalize that their learning is really theirs. It helps them to also keep a big picture as they pursue the what, how, and why of their learning every day. As teachers in a flexible learning environment, we're providing multimodal environments and opportunities, both physically and digitally, for them to be able to make that possible.
From what I understand, you spent a long time researching and developing what you have now put into practice. Tell me a little bit more about how you determine best practices, how you developed this model.
So I spent my early years of teaching at an international baccalaureate school, and one of their frameworks that they use is called the action cycle, which is choose, act, reflect. And that has continued to resonate with me. That was kind of like the beginning foundations for springboarding a lot of other research. So books like Passionate Learners by Pernil Rip, The Innovator's Mindset by George Couros, Just Ask Us, Kids Speak Out on Student Engagement by Heather Woolpert-Gavran, and The Self-Driven Child by William Stixrud. All these books have just really been illuminating on flexible learning and student autonomy in general, that they really defending the idea that kids really do care about their learning. They really do want to learn, and we can give them opportunities to show that desire and to drive that learning. I also took the Modern Classroom course that the district offered, as well as one of the micro-credentials on USBE's website. That one was the Classroom Environment for Personalized Learning, and there was a lot of fantastic literature backing up those practices there as well. And I've also just spent many years connecting with teachers worldwide about their practices and just like hands-on, like how have you troubleshooted these situations? How do you make this work? And that's been amazing to connect. I've helped collaborate on like global blogs that are just little, but we just help each other, and it's been a great experience.
So let's talk a little bit more about what this looks like in practice.
So I give students these organizers that we have made many iterations of. And that at the end of each day they reflect on their learning. And it's very broken down into the different academic areas, but also social emotional skills and different things too. And then they plan their schedule for the next day based on those reflections from the previous day. They make their plans based on the framework of must do, should do, and aspire to do. So I set those must do's each day that have to be taken care of, and I project those on the screen, and they're planning those, but then we co-construct the should do's and aspire to do's, and sometimes they're coming up with it throughout the week and they're excited about, oh, let's add that to our list. And we post those together on Mondays on Canvas.
A lot of teachers have tried to do similar things and just haven't had success. It seems like your front-loading plus front-loading the students has really helped you to actually be successful.
Yeah, so we spend the first several weeks of school, and sometimes months, front-loading those ideas of those three main habits, the autonomy, mastery, and purpose, and really delving deep into what those words mean, because they're hard words for fifth graders, but also what are the specific like sub-habits that build those habits. They're also active in co-constructing just concepts of what is learning, why and how, and all the ins and outs, and a lot of exploring that, and we spend a lot of time on that. They set goals and they plan purposes for those one-on-one conferences with me, and I give them a few choices for what those purposes might be, but then they're asking questions and planning it so that when they come to conference with me, they know what we can talk about to further their goals, or troubleshooting, or looking at their work more closely. Once all of that's in place, and that's a lot, we really gradually ease into the planning aspect of like, okay, let's try just this little 30-minute chunk, and we'll break it into little 15-minute sub-chunks, and here are some choices, and how can we prioritize our time, and what does it mean to prioritize our time, and we just grow that as they're ready and understand more and are developing those skills, because they don't have them fully developed yet. Many adults don't have them fully developed yet, and so we can't throw this much autonomy at them without a lot of like shared co-construction, meaning making, and just a lot of information for them to really understand what it means to take responsibility for your own learning.
Sounds like a slow build, lots of scaffolding. In fact, around your classroom, I see anchor charts everywhere in kids' handwriting. So they co-constructed even the anchor charts.
Yes, we try not to leave anything behind, that it is all important, it's all building, it's all part of the whole, so that it's not just this idea that learning is just fragmented bits that my teacher throws at me, right? That this is all building towards these goals and this meaning that matters for my life, like in the long term, and that really makes a difference for them as well.
And I'm just writing to write conclusion. It's okay to not use perfect grammar in note-taking like this. And then for those of you who are doing the ELA workshop for Y.3, you need to do it at 1:10 because that's when I teach it. To learn the prefix sub.
Okay, let's talk about some of the different shifts that I saw you make throughout the day, because we got to see social studies in whole group, we got to see some mini lessons and some independent work. Tell me about all of those different settings.
Yeah, so on their planners, they will see some like grayed out sections where it is whole group. So they can't plan that time, and I put a little why of what exactly are we doing, why is this time not your own for a reason, right? And so social studies is one of those that we do whole group, and they know and plan for that time. And then they can transition after that point. I always do ELA as the next chunk when I teach that mini lesson, but as they're planning, they can decide whether they are going to come to my lesson, my workshop as we call it, or if they're going to self-pace that on Canvas, because it's a concept that they're already familiar with. If they came to a lesson, it would just be boring. They would probably just start needling at each other, right? And in that way, it's also a wonderful classroom management approach too, because you're having them self-differentiate, really. And so the kids who have, and I always tell them when they're planning the day before too, what to expect in those lessons, so that they can make those choices purposefully of like, okay, I'm gonna go to a workshop for that one, or I think I can self-pace that one. And so then the day after social studies, they check their schedules, they check their planners, and then they come to my workshop if they're coming, or they'll self-pace. They may have chosen to self-pace ELA during that time, or it might have happened earlier in the day. They might be done with all of their must-dos, in which case they're moving on to checking Canvas and should-dos and aspire to-dos. And once I've finished teaching my mini lesson, I'm checking in with kids, I'm polling small reading groups, I'm progress monitoring all the things that we have to get done. And at this point of the year, it's September, right? So I'm also reminding kids about, okay, we go through the must-dos. Oh, show me which should-dos you've done. Oh, that looks like an aspired to-do. You've spent a lot of time on, let's pick a new one, and just a lot of coaching and training through this time as well.
Tell me what some of the tools are that help you as you go into these different parts of your day.
Yeah, so there's a lot, and it's always building. We're always finding new things and tinkering together. Canvas obviously is essential for that flexible learning piece so that they have the choice to self-pace anything that they feel like they can. On Canvas, all of our lessons will be organized in units, and they can click to links for Pear Deck lesson slides. And I'm working on getting those integrated into Canvas, and there's always things like that that we're tinkering with too. I also use Blocksy so that I can monitor students, especially here at the beginning of the year, but honestly, points throughout, because they're fifth graders and we want to make sure we're all on the same page and making progress toward our goals as well. So it's a great monitoring tool as well. I can even message them individually on there, or I can pause, or I can send links to them. It's a powerful resource as well. And then we have the physical environment things for flexible seating. We have soft seats, we have bumpy seats, we have different zones around the room where they can work. Of course, they also have their student planners that they're really relying on each day. And we also, because there's flexible seating, they keep their things in little cubbies as well. So there's just a lot of physical and digital tools that go into it.
And that's part of the idea with flexible learning, isn't it? That it's not, we learn this online and that not online, or even they're too young to utilize something like Canvas. It just seamlessly is in and out of face-to-face, partner, one-on-one, group, and then online, and then on the floor, and then it's just in and out all day long.
It is. It makes it fun. I really enjoy it. And they're really doing the work, which is how it should be. It's they're learning, and it puts it less on me of like, okay, I've got to be in front of them, entertaining them at all times, and it makes it more, hey, this is my learning, I'm going to pursue this, and I will call on my coach when I need her, and I just love that. It makes it so much more enjoyable for me as a teacher.
Now that you have seen Mary in action, consider what you can do to start to develop a flexible or blending, personalized learning environment in your classroom. First, start with some research. Dig into some scholarly articles and books that can help you really understand best practices. The Utah State Board of Education has a clearinghouse through the ULEAD project that might be helpful. You can also rely on a lot of frameworks that have been developed to help you with these practices. Things like the IB Action Cycle, or the PCBL framework, or of course, the Education Technology Competencies. Next, consider some tools that might be helpful to you in this process. Analyze your physical space. Are there things you need to change or add to allow for movement and choice with your students? What kinds of tools could you use for calendaring, scheduling, and setting and tracking goals? These could be on paper or they could be digital. And remember, this is a slow build. It's okay to build upon these skills and increase the flexible learning environment from year to year. For even more tools, resources, and tutorials to help you develop a flexible learning model in your classroom, be sure to visit uen.org/PDTV to access the teacher toolkit that accompanies this episode. Thanks for watching UEN's PDTV. To access more professional development resources from UEN and to schedule a training, visit uen.org/development. We'll see you next time.